I couldn't believe what I came home to. Rows of carefully planted crops torn out, the soil flattened, and fresh tire tracks right through my leased farmland. At first, I thought it was some sort of mistake, until I saw the notice taped to my fence. It was from the HOA. Apparently, someone decided that my legally leased lot would make a perfect overflow parking area for the neighborhood's next event. That someone being the head of the HOA, who everyone around here calls Karen for a reason. What she didn't know is that this wasn't just any backyard garden. This land, which I rent under a quiet but official government lease, is part of a classified agreement with Homeland Security. Yeah, Homeland Security. The crops, not what they seemed, and the timing couldn't have been worse. Karen had no clue the mess she was stepping into. All she saw was a patch of dirt she didn't like the look of. But behind that patch was a web of federal clearance, surveillance, and let's just say, some very serious people. So I did what anyone in my position would do. I made a few calls. I kept calm. But what happened next? Not even I saw coming. And neither did she. Because when Homeland Security gets involved, it's not a slap on the wrist. It's a full-scale investigation. And it all started with one HOA member's entitled decision. Stick around, because what happened after might just make you rethink suburban power trips. It all started about a year ago when I was approached by a quiet man in a suit during a community volunteer event. He said he was with a federal agency and asked if I'd be open to leasing a section of my land for a classified agricultural project. It sounded strange but legit. Papers, signatures, even monthly deposits straight from a government account. They were clear that I couldn't talk about it, even to neighbors. I figured, hey, if Homeland Security needs some space to grow whatever it is they're testing, who am I to argue? So I set up a small, fenced-off area. Nothing flashy, just some raised beds and equipment that didn't draw attention. I was told it had to blend in, and it did. Nobody asked questions, until Karen decided she didn't like the look of my plot. She'd been complaining at HOA meetings for months, calling it an eyesore and saying it brought down property values. What she didn't know is the equipment had sensors, cameras, stuff I wasn't even supposed to touch. But to her, it was just messy landscaping that needed to go. The day she bulldozed through my crops was the day everything changed. I stayed calm, but I knew the clock was ticking. Within hours, my phone lit up. Unknown numbers, blocked calls, even a knock at the door. Karen thought she was just enforcing HOA rules, but she had unknowingly triggered a federal response. And the agency, they were not happy. The first person to show up wasn't in a suit. It was my neighbor Dave. He's ex-military and usually keeps to himself, but he looked shaken. He pulled me aside and whispered, "You know they were watching that plot, right?" I nodded, careful not to say too much. Dave said he'd seen black SUVs parked a few blocks away for months, never the same ones, but always watching. I figured they were part of the program. Karen, of course, hadn't noticed a thing, too busy organizing bake sales and measuring people's grass length. Later that night, 2 unmarked vehicles parked outside my house. No flashing lights, just the kind of quiet arrival that sends chills down your spine. A man and a woman stepped out. No names, just credentials. They didn't ask questions, they stated facts. They already knew Karen had entered restricted property, interfered with classified research, and compromised federal assets. But what they really wanted to know was whether I had told anyone else. That's when things got complicated. Apparently, what was being grown wasn't just crops. Some of it was biosensor tech disguised as plants, tracking environmental patterns, testing resilience in case of a national emergency. Karen hadn't just ripped out vegetables, she had destroyed months of covert data. And worst of all, she'd dumped soil samples in a community compost pile. That triggered something. Now the agency wasn't just worried about her actions, they were worried about exposure. And suddenly, I wasn't just a leaseholder anymore. I was part of the cleanup. The next few days were a blur. I was told to keep everything normal. Don't mention the agency, don't talk to the press, and under no circumstances speak to the HOA. But Karen didn't get the memo. She doubled down. Started bragging about cleaning up the neighborhood, even posted pictures of the cleared land on the community Facebook page with captions like, "finally took care of that jungle eyesore." The comments blew up, people praising her, others confused. One person even joked about how it looked like a government site. That post was shared over 200 times before it mysteriously disappeared. The agency called me back in. This time, it wasn't at my house. It was off-site. Warehouse-looking place, outside city limits. They showed me drone footage. Karen had gone back after the initial bulldozing. She brought landscapers, more equipment, and one of her helpers had unknowingly picked up a buried sensor that was still transmitting. That little move flagged a higher-level alert. What started as a neighborhood incident was now classified as a potential breach. Meanwhile, the HOA board got spooked. They held a closed-door meeting. No notes, no public notice. Rumors started flying. Was there radiation? Was I hiding some kind of lab? People began avoiding me on the street. Some even drove by slowly at night, just watching. But the worst part? Karen still didn't get it. She was planning a ribbon cutting for her new community lot. She'd sent out invites. And the agency, they said not to stop her, let it happen. They needed to see who showed up. The day of the so-called ribbon cutting came faster than I expected. Karen went all out. Banners, balloons, even a local food truck. She stood there in her usual blazer and oversized sunglasses, holding scissors like she was about to open a shopping mall. Families gathered, kids ran around, people took selfies in front of the newly leveled dirt lot. But what no one noticed were the plain vans parked just beyond the entrance, or the handful of guests who didn't quite fit the HOA crowd. Quiet, watchful, earpieces barely visible. I kept my distance, just like they told me. But then came the twist no one saw coming. Right before the ceremony started, a man showed up claiming to be from the county. Clipboard, badge, official tone. He started asking Karen questions about zoning permits, public land use, and environmental impact. She got defensive, waving him off, saying it was private property and she had full HOA approval. That's when things got weird. The man didn't argue. He just walked off and made a call. 10 minutes later, more unmarked vehicles showed up. Not the same ones as before. These guys looked higher up, less discreet. Turns out, that plot of land had been flagged in a satellite surveillance system for potential dual use, meaning it had both public and classified applications. What Karen cleared wasn't just a sensor field. It was a calibration site for national security testing. Her event had accidentally triggered a federal geo alert. Now, the agency wasn't just watching. They were moving in. Right as Karen stood in front of the crowd with her scissors raised, a firm voice came over a loudspeaker, calm but commanding. "Everyone, please step away from the area immediately. This is now a restricted zone under federal jurisdiction." At first, people laughed, thinking it was some prank. But when agents stepped out, flashing real badges and surrounding the perimeter, the mood shifted fast. Karen froze, scissors still in hand, eyes darting between the officials and her guests. One agent approached her directly, saying her actions had violated multiple federal protocols tied to Homeland Security operations. She started sputtering about property rights and HOA authority, but he shut it down quick. "Ma'am, you bulldozed a secure federal installation under active surveillance. You're lucky we're not calling this a national breach." That's when it hit her. This wasn't just about garden beds or messy yards. It was bigger, way bigger. As they escorted her away, people stood in stunned silence. Some pulled out their phones, others just walked back to their cars, not saying a word. The event was over before it even began. The agents sealed the area with barriers and signs, red * no trespassing, federal property *. It was the last time anyone tried to host anything on that lot. But here's the kicker. A week later, I got a plain envelope in the mail, no return address. Inside was a note. Asterisk, thank you for your cooperation. We've upgraded the lease. Keep quiet asterisk along with it. A new access badge. This time, labeled asterisk level 2 clearance asterisk. The land may have looked empty again, but something deeper was starting, and this time, I was officially part of it.